ग्लोबल आईएमई बैंक, सबैका लागि बैंक.
I'm proud to be in Nepal yesterday to celebrate Labour Day because we're very concerned about the situation. So Nepal is a country with an image of an emerging economy and people that are hardworking and in fact work all over the world. So the new government's decisions to try to establish a new methodology, challenging the constitution, challenging the decades of democracy that many of the Nepalese have fought for over many years, is of grave concern to us because, of course, we're a transport trade union, global, and we believe in fairness and equity, and we're beginning to see concerns with this government that it doesn't trust the courts or the parliament or the administration of government. And of course, why were trade unions created was so that workers could have a unified voice. And by trying to eliminate unions or say there should only be one union means it disrespects the decisions of the workers that created those unions and built them over many decades. So we're concerned that the government is going in the wrong direction, and we would respectfully encourage them to reconsider their position. I think we should put it in context in the world at the moment. The world is very difficult. Many populist governments driving agendas that actually do not build societies. And the Nepalese have a very strong sense of society. And we shouldn't lose, certainly from an outsider looking in, who actually is very fond of the Nepalese people. We should celebrate the sense of community, and therefore, yes, we want things to be quicker. Yes, we want more young people. Yes, we want more women involved in good jobs. But we need to do that together, and we need to do that part of a conversation. So we're worried about the situation, and that's why I came on behalf not just of the transport workers, but all workers. I spoke to Luke Triangle, who's the boss of the ITUC, which is the International National Centres. I spoke to the chair of the Global Council of Unions, David Edwards, is the teachers, and they all brought a message through me that says we will fight to defend democracy, and part of that democracy is free trade unions. When it comes to conversations around employers, the ITF has a long history of building partnerships with multinational companies. And actually, the better companies are gravely concerned when there isn't equity, and there isn't transparency, and there isn't fairness. So we want more investment in Nepal. We want more modernisation. We want the tourism to grow. But to do that, we need to show that Nepal understands the values of good corporate social responsibility, of accountability. And those are the areas where we would encourage employers to come to Nepal because the standards are good, or there is an attempt to improve the standards. And then I think there's always a challenge in emerging societies and emerging economies that the subcontracting model is very attractive to employers to reduce cost. But if you want to build society, you have to get as many workers as possible into social security, so that you do provide some safety nets, some minimum wage, some death and disability compensation and protections that means people can build a future. In the end, we're very confident that good jobs, decent jobs, create opportunities for people, and we believe and we will work with our unions, but also with the government if they're prepared to engage, to help for Nepalese here, but also Nepalese, that many thousands of them are stuck in the Gulf at the moment and sending money back to keep the economies going here. So we also want them to have better rights in the Gulf states, and the ITF is working very hard to represent transport workers in Qatar and Saudi and other places. So for us, it's this is a very important country. We see the energy that the Generation Z brought, but we also need to take that energy in the right direction, and that mustn't be against United Nations values. It mustn't be against internationalism and collaboration and cooperation. So I'm very proud to be here to pass the message on behalf of the Labour movement, and of course we're committed to talk, and that's what we want to do, to try to convince the government that there's a better way to build a society and an economy. And I think we have to recognise it's a very difficult international backdrop, and we have to recognise, whether we like it or not, that some of the voices that changed government were because of frustration. So in moments like that, it calls upon the workers' representatives, the trade unions, to show leadership, to talk to the membership, to reassure everybody that there is a role for unions. We're very gravely concerned because we hear that this new government is potentially frightening members away from the unions. And I will say this in a very clear way. In a world where you can't always be clear what is true, so what do I mean by that? Social media, a lot of, shall we call it, fake news. The trade unions are democratic bodies that have a voice that represents the workers. And any developed society that is successful needs to have the workers' voice in the conversation. So my challenge to our unions here, and we will support them, is how do we get that voice to this government to sit at a table and talk about, the frustrations. How do we make more growth? How do we create more jobs? These are things that, never underestimate the people that work in the various different sectors: tourism, construction, transportation. They know what doesn't work better than anyone else, and it's critical that their voice is heard with employers. And when it's at its best, workers and employers go to the government together and say this is the way forward, and we're very happy to support the unions here to define that way forward.